Holy shit, it's Jonathan Holmes.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
Oh my goodness, Jonathan Holmes.
Oh, it's just me.
Oh no, you do not realize. Oh, this is crazy. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, wow.
Excited. I've followed your work since Destructoid for a number of years, and over the last several months, I've been re-listening to old Podtoid stuff, and I'm in the thick of when it was just you and Jim, and my wife has been picking up on it and has been enjoying it thoroughly as well.
Oh, thanks, Larry. And Ed? Ed?
Yes.
Right? Oh, good. Good.
Well, I follow you on Twitter, and Larry was talking about, like, yeah, Jonathan Holmes is on Road Rules. Something I did not know. Like, he's on Road Rules?
Like, Christine actually went to look up the season of Road Rules that you were on.
Oh, no. It's okay, I guess. So, some people I know have been watching it for the first time, and it's not as embarrassing as I thought it would be. But it's a little worrisome. It was me 20 years ago. I don't know how you feel about you 20 years ago, but none.
So.
That's fun. So what if you were on TV at 11, Larry, saying stuff like, I like girls, but do girls like me? And, like, wondering about your whole life, and it was on TV for everybody. That would be kind of weird.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Ed's feeling it.
Oh, no, because I was thinking about you, and the first thing that came to my mind was Rhythm Heaven, Tengoku, or then it started to be like, no, Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix, which I still need to buy. And I know how you love the series, and I'm just like, can we just get someone to just talk about Elite Beat Agents, and can they just bring a part two here?
I could talk about that too.
Oh,
what do you guys want to? Yeah,
I love that game. I love that game. I know Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix I need to buy because I heard the music in that game is superb. Like,
yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not the best. I don't know if you have Rhythm Heaven Fever. If you have Rhythm Heaven Fever, then you're kind of good. Like, you don't need to get too much more than that. It's the best one.
Was that the DS one?
No, that's the Wii one.
Oh no, I didn't get the Fever.
It's pretty cheap. You can get it for like $3 now.
Oh, okay. I need to get on that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun afternoon. So how does this show work? What am I going to do? Are we doing it? Is this it?
It's pretty free fall. It's it as soon as Eddie hits record.
All right.
We're already recording. Well, I guess I'll introduce. I guess I'll do introductions and then we'll get into it. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to World 11 Podcast. I'm your host for the moment, Mr. Eddie V. We got a special episode for you. Joining me is the Red Velvet Nordic Beast himself, Mr. Larry Giver.
What's up, folks?
And we got the
legendary Jonathan Holmes of Destructoid, Podtoid, and Nintendo Force fame. A man, the man himself, a man of the industry, Jonathan Holmes.
Oh, jeez. Thanks, Larry and Eddie. I appreciate it.
I feel like Chad Caselmo right now, just hyper. I love Chad Caselmo. We have to get him on the show because Chad is, I miss his podcasting voice, but he is amazing.
Chad is amazing. He is.
I apologize. I totally forgot to address you by your formal title, the Lord Cat Pimp of Baltimore.
So you're deep in the thick of it. You're in that.
Yes.
That special place where I don't know if anyone will ever go again, and had never been before. I know when I was there in Podtoid with Jim Sterling, I didn't know where I was, and I knew no one had ever been there, and I didn't know how to get out. And I still might be there for all I know. He sucks me back in all the time. Jim Sterling. He's I know. Play on words. Jim Sterling, what a guy. And he's taken off big.
Yes.
I remember he was in a what's the smallest size bed? Is that king? Or is it twin?
Twin.
Smallest size is a twin.
Yeah. Just picture Jim Sterling lying on a twin bed, feeling scared.
Ooh.
Feeling troubled. At E3, I want to say 2009. And he's like, Jonathan, do you think I should do videos? I'm like, Jim, you want to do videos? I think that you would be great at it. He's like, I don't know. I'm not very good on camera. Like, Jim, come here. And I gave him a supportive pat and said, Jim, you are a very, very good boy. And you're going to do very, very good videos someday. Really, Jonathan? He was so touched. And now look at him as a star. Hundreds of thousands of dollars he's making on just videos now.
No kidding. The man's a monster. I spent like 2.5 weeks binging straight through the entirety of all his Jimquisition videos.
Oh.
I bet. Yeah, he's such a... and he enjoys it so much. That's the thing about Jim that really shines through. Even when he's sick, he's got various ailments he's combating all the time. He's often on painkillers, which helps and hurts him. I think. And he all of a sudden just still comes out with a video. Is he on every day still, or is it once a week?
I know Jimquisitions are on Mondays, and then he'll do like Jim Precious and like Let's Plays and trailers and stuff like throughout the week.
Yeah, he's still, for a bit there, it seemed like it was every day he was doing something of some kind.
Podquisition now as well.
Yep. Yeah. He's completely on fire. He's got the show with Conrad he's still doing, I believe, where they do movie commentary. He's just endlessly able to come out with something for people.
Oh my goodness, really I love Conrad's voice. Like you guys, when you guys were podcasting, I love every one of your voices.
That's so nice, you Eddie. Thank you.
Topher had the best voice. Like his deep voice, and then you see a picture of him, you'd be like, "Wait, what?"
I'm sad that Topher dropped off the map. He had diehard fans. He had his animation show. I believe it was called, what's it just called? The Animation Show?
I think the one with the bee.
Yeah. With the bee dog. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it? It might have been Ninja
Geraldo B-Dog.
Geraldo B-Dog, yeah. I remember standing in line with Topher Candler at PAX East. I want to say 2008. And a guy just comes up to us smoking a cigarette, and he's like, $5 and I'll do 20 one-handed push-ups. And Topher's like, you're on. And I'm like, whoa, Topher's taking the challenge. And he did it while smoking.
Wow.
Yeah, and Topher's the kind of guy. He paid up. Like, he's very much a straight shooter, which I think made him struggle with the industry, where there's a lot of, how do I put it politely? Video game industry is a weird, weird place. There's a lot of people that are just nerds who thought, wouldn't it be great if I could just get paid money to like video games? That would be the best. But there's a lot of people on top of that. I'd say they're outnumbered by people that just want to become superstars in a medium that they think is easy pickings. They think, oh, well, none of the big name actors are going into the video game thing. None of the big game talent are going into video games. So I should be able to just become a star here. And they can be very cutthroat and just step on each other.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen much of that, but yeah, it certainly happens. And I think Topher was pained by that. That's my guess. And he eventually just wanted out. He just wanted to be an innocent soul who makes things for the love of it. And he didn't see that happening in the ever more crowded video game journalism world. So he bowed out. Well, I wonder what he's doing now. I haven't talked to him.
Rare was the day I was so sad that Retro Force Go ended.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And that was kind of how it was actually in the mid 2000s. Before even we announced, you had One Up and you had Destructoid. And when the beginning of podcasting came, you just got more opinions and some more diverse discussions from everywhere. Like Game Informer was big, One Up, Destructoid was getting big, and and you just kind of miss that kind of feeling back in the day. Like there was just something about hearing Retro Force Go or Pot Toy when they came out. It was something about seeing the 1-Up show that I just enjoyed, like on Fridays, and I don't get that anymore. Nowadays, of course we now have Twitter, and now we have like YouTube personalities doing video game stuff. It's just cause it just doesn't feel the same almost at times.
I agree. The being at Destructoid in 2008, I think is when I started writing, there were no big name video game bloggers. It's not like anybody at that point was getting into it because they thought, wow, I'm going to be the next PewDiePie someday, or I'm going to be the next Game Grumps someday. None of these guys existed yet. I think at that point, Egoraptor was just known for making really ridiculous Metal Gear Solid animations on MS Paint. He was like 17 or something at that point. So, sure, he had a following, but nobody thought of these guys as like multi-million-dollar rock stars. So everyone who was in it at that point, we did it because we liked it, not because we ever thought it was going to take us anywhere. And since then, the industry has blown up so big, it's too crowded for everybody to make it. If all they want to do is have fun, you have to really be ambitious and treat it like a business if you're going to survive in it, which is why I'm more or less part-time at this point. I work 6 days a week at a completely different job, and I just do the video game stuff nights and weekends because I love it, and I don't care if I get bigger from here. In fact, I know it's probably impossible for me to get bigger than I've been in the past in this industry, and I'm totally fine with that. As long as I can just stick around and do what's fun for me, I'm happy to stay right where I am. Whereas Jim, Jesus Christ, Jim, what is he gonna?
A monster icon of game blogging. It's just insane what he's built his own miniature empire.
I know, it's so fun to see that. I mean, I was exaggerating a little bit with that story with him lying on the bed, but not really. He was really that underconfident and like worried about doing any videos at that time. So for me to see him blow up, I don't want to. Should you say a man blows up?
Yeah,
or does that get you in trouble?
You can say it because it's a slang term. It's a cool term.
Because he uses a lot of slang terms with me.
Yeah.
Blowing up on me and whatnot, and blooming in me. He used a lot of sexual.
Things he wanted to do inside of you too.
Yeah, he wanted to put skeleton bones in me. He wanted to do all sorts of stuff for comedy effect. Yeah, Jim Sterling. I'm so happy about him, though. Yeah. I really am proud to have been a part of his career in any way and to see where it's come.
You've had a beautiful career yourself. I love some of the creative stuff that came out of you, especially in your Destructoid days. In particular, Sup Holmes and Sundays with Sagat.
Oh, jeez. I didn't think you would have seen those. Thanks, yeah.
Like I said, I've followed most of the Destructoid crew on Detoid for a great many years. So.
And it's been very interesting, as well as to see Jim come to where he is now today. To see folks like you who maybe read Detoid when you were younger, and now you're old enough to be making your own shows and stuff, to cite some of the stuff we did on Destructoid as an influence has been just hugely touching. We're actually, right now I'm helping a kid. I think of him as a kid because I'm turning 40 next week, and I think he's like 21. So I'm like twice as old as him.
You cannot be turning 40. You are turning.
I am?
No, dude, because you are young. Every time I was watching, looking at your work, and I see your picture, and you just say, well, I'm turning 40. I'm like, no, you're not. You're turning about 33 or 34. Because I'm 36, and I look like I could put a book back on and walk into some high-bodies high school, and the teacher would be like, are you a new student here? That's how young I look. And that's the same way I envision you. Like I don't picture you being 40. Maybe when you turn 50, yes. But right now, I'm just like, you got to be about 34, 35. Like,
that means a lot. I really appreciate that. But it's true. I can't lie. I was born in 1976, turning 40, like in a week. So it's kind of nice to look back on your life and think about all the stuff that you've done. And I've got a kid now, too. He just turned 16 months. So that's a year and a third year a third of a
You're
year.
much far ahead of mine. We got an 8.5 month old daughter, so.
Oh, that's exciting. That's still a tough. It gets a little easier once they're able to get themselves out of trouble a little bit more. At 8 months, they're kind of crawling, but not quite capable of like saving themselves from having a pan fall on their head or something. So
Ooh.
She's crawling, almost standing. She's like weeks away from walking at this point.
oh, that's exciting. Yeah. So you know what I mean by when I say that. At this point, you're not really the star of your own story anymore. You're a bit player supporting somebody else who's on the way up, and it's okay if you're not on the way up yourself anymore because you're helping somebody get there who's more important than you. So yeah, that's where I'm at this point, and not just with being a father to a biological kid. All these like children of Destructoid who come to me and say, I'm 20 now, and I started reading your website when I was 13, and it meant so much to me, and you guys are my heroes. Can you help me do X, Y, or Z thing? And just such a story is happening right now. This guy, Caspian Whistler, who just got out of college, he's making a zine called Profound Waste of Time, and he didn't think it was any good, and he was going to just shelve it. But Nero and I, the founder of Destructoid, reached out to him and said we really liked it and wanted to help him with it. And now he's on Kickstarter, and he's going to have the developers from Vlambeer get involved with it.
Oh,
and
nice.
Developers from Killer Instinct and Undertale, Earthbound, the guy who localized Earthbound, Marcus Lindblom is involved.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So he's every day he tweets me, and he's another British guy. He's like, Jonathan, I'm so excited. My life is really coming together. I'm like, that's so great, Kaz. You're really living your life. Like, oh, I'm so happy. He's just like constantly pleased with himself and where his life has gone.
I love how the fact that every time you speak in a British accent, everybody's so relaxed and so chill. It's just like, not all British people sound that way, but this is so relaxing. I'm gonna just.
Oh no!
Oh, trust me, I'm gonna go back and listen to this episode and just be like, "Oh, this is so relaxed."
Jonathan Holmes was British in a past life. We're now convinced.
I have a weird British uncle who talks much more like Boris Karloff than the sweet kind of like whatever kind of accent I was just doing. I guess it's more of a Charles Dickens. The sweet little British boy. You're right. Not everyone from England has that accent, but it's the easiest one for me to do.
That's
yeah. Oh, and Nintendo Force too. Thank you for mentioning that.
Okay, talk to me about Nintendo Force because
Sure.
I'm so half and half of should I subscribe? Should I buy a magazine? Should I not? Like I want to know all about Nintendo Force. So go ahead, Jonathan. Tell us about Nintendo Force.
Absolutely, it is way better than it should be. It has no right to be as good as it is. I don't write a ton for the magazine, mostly because they just don't need me. We've got a huge editorial staff, and people are chomping at the bit to write for the magazine. They love to do it. It really is too good to be true. I remember when I first got an issue, I'm like, this is probably not going to be that good. There's no way it could be as good as Nintendo Power because we're just a bunch of amateurs or bloggers. You know, we're not big adults who have been working in the magazine industry for a long time. But it actually is as good as Nintendo Power, if not a little bit better. And it's not that expensive. It's like, I think $6 an issue, and every issue comes with a free double-sided poster. I barely get paid for writing for it. I told them like right off the bat, like I don't care about money. Pay me if you want, but I'm just doing it because it's fun to see my name in print. But
I seen some of the pictures, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's really most of the people I know who don't read it, it's because they think, well, it can't be that good. I mean, it's made by a bunch of schlubs. It's not made by Nintendo themselves. It's made by fans, so it's probably going to look a little amateurish. And there's no way it's as good as it looks like it is when I look at screen grabs on the internet. And then they buy it, and they're like, wow, it actually is this good. And then they stay subscribers. We've got a very solid subscriber base that hasn't really faltered. It's only grown since the magazine started in 2014. But yeah, if you like Nintendo Power, it's basically is more of that. Except since we don't work for Nintendo, we can often be super critical of Nintendo when it's applicable. So we were very critical. We did a series of debates a few months ago because it only comes out every other month. That's the only thing that's different than Nintendo Power is we don't quite have the bandwidth to put out something every month. And lately, there just hasn't been enough huge Nintendo news as third parties have more or less abandoned the Wii U. There just hasn't been enough to print a magazine every month. But with the Switch, that may change. Who knows? But, yeah.
The painful decline of the Wii U has been sad and disheartening to watch.
Yeah.
And we talked. I definitely been talking about third party, leaving the Wii U, and I feel like when third party leaves Nintendo, that's when failure comes in. Mm-hmm. And when they get with Nintendo and Nintendo like invest in and help in, that's when their games are better than expected. Like,
sure.
You gotta look at, like, I always take Platinum for an example. Yeah, Bayonetta 1 was a huge hit, but didn't nobody really was looking forward to part 2 till Nintendo got the exclusive, and then everybody raged. But then after you see the work that Nintendo and Platinum did for Bayonetta 2, Activision at them hard trying to get them to make a whole bunch of games.
That's a good point. Because I feel like Nintendo and third parties have. I'm trying to think of a good analogy for it. I actually just woke up from a nap.
Ship, perhaps.
I guess it's. No, that's not a good analogy either. I was thinking of STD analogies, and none of them were quite good enough.
It was at this point that the awesomeness of Jonathan Holmes joining us managed to completely wreck Skype. And so we have a small break in our show, and this is why I'm telling you this. But in just a moment, we're going to get everything back on track again.
Fun, this podcast, right?
Oh yeah, God, we talk about everybody.
I thought you did.
have no idea. I'm again going back to Sundays with Sagat. I'm a huge fan because you touched on my absolute favorite character. You have no idea how much passion I have for the Metroid series.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Oh yeah. You're thinking about when Samus got in there.
Samus stands 10 inches tall and proud on my back.
And that is true. I've seen it. That is true. I love the Metroid series, and I'm a super big Nintendo fan.
My theater room, and I've got the standees for Echoes, Corruption, Hunters, Other M. I've got a set of old kitchen dining room chairs that a friend of mine actually. They did some custom paint work for me, and they painted each of the 3 chairs themed after the different planets from Corruption.
Whoa! And Corruption, not the most popular game in the series, often maligned. A lot of people talk trash about it. I really loved it.
I loved it.
Corruption was spectacular.
Yeah, I thought so too. Did you like Metroid Prime 2 as well?
Echoes? Yeah.
I did, actually. Out of the Prime games, Echoes is my favorite.
Me too.
I have a weird penchant for Black Sheep of this series. Echoes is my favorite of the Primes. Zelda 2 from NES is my favorite 2D Zelda. Out of all the Metroid games, my absolute diehard favorite up until this summer was Metroid 2 Return of Samus on Game Boy, which then just got blown out of the fucking water with AM2R.
Sure. I've talked to I'm trying to remember his handle. He's got a ridiculous handle.
Dr. M64.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm trying to get in touch with him, and for the fucking life of me, I can't figure out how to. I can't.
Okay. I'll help you with that. We actually did an interview with him for Nintendo Force a couple issues ago.
This is so amazing right now.
Hero, you have no clue.
I'm so giddy right now. This is amazing.
Is it? Oh,
yes.
This is just regular for me.
You're familiar. There's a gentleman out there runs a Facebook page called Mr. Wizard Reproductions.
Oh, really?
Does some beautiful, beautiful stuff. Old Super Nintendo carts for stuff like Splatterhouse and all kinds of stuff. He does these beautiful, amazing custom cartridges. Like the Splatterhouse one looks like it's done in a greenish color, like a transparent greenish. Looks like it's splattered with blood and everything.
Wow, neat.
It's gorgeous work, but when AM2R came out, he did a very, very tiny run of physical copies, packaged in a nice DVD case made to look like a PC release, and it was, the 1.1 release of AM2R, and a physical copy of the soundtrack. All beautiful artwork. Like the DVD case was one of the clear plastic with double-sided artwork for the inside and everything. I got my hands on those. It's a jewel of my collection.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of the artwork that went along with the M2R, the painted stuff, was right up there with Nintendo's own work, as the whole game was. So impressive. What, 8 years I think he worked on that?
Yeah. Which, speaking of paintings, by the way, whoever did that beautiful painting of yours, I want it, because that looks like that should just be superimposed on the head of the M. Bison painting from the Street Fighter movie. Like,
you mean on my Twitter?
That motif, and I want that on that painting to hang in my house.
That is so kind of you. It's not that big of a painting. She sent me the original size of it, and it's super small. Her name's Jen. I'm trying to remember her last name. I'm checking her out on Twitter right now. She's working on a game called Steam Marines 2, and I'm one of those Steam Marines. So she made that just for funsies, and she's put a lot of game developers in there, like the guy who's working on Chicken Sword is in there, Zach Bell, who's working on a game called Hacky Zack, and a game called Farah. He's done a lot of good stuff.
Zach Bell sounds like an anime. No, that's Zach Bell. That was anime. Every time I hear
he gets that a lot.
Yeah, I was just like, that's an anime with that robot in that dress. What the heck?
There was a really good Zatch Bell game on Game Boy Advance, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
It was, it had pretty good sprite work. That was like the end of big publishers, or at least bigger publishers, doing sprite-based games was the GBA, which is part of why I love the GBA so much. And now you really only get the sprite-based games from the indie developers for the most part.
Wasn't Astro Boy on GBA? Because that's Treasure.
What? Which one?
Astro Boy.
Oh, yeah, that was Treasure, and that was GBA.
Okay.
Yep.
We're in this beautiful era now where indie developers are almost like the, they're not so much this tiny little unbeknownst thing now. They're almost their own empire in the gaming industry. Give it another 5 to 10 years, and we could see a massive paradigm shift in the industry where, the big publishers are struggling to keep up with, the indie guys because of just what they're doing and what they're putting out now.
Well,
absolutely.
I feel like the indies are the new third party of modern games.
Exactly.
And as you probably heard, AAA sales are down this year overall. The new Call of Duty sold a lot less than they thought it would. A lot of AAA games.
It's the first Call of Duty I've actually had an interest in.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat one, out in space and whatnot.
Titanfall 2 is better.
Which one?
Titanfall 2 is better.
Oh, sure. Well, it's hard to compete with the scale of Titanfall 2. But Titanfall 2 is not on PS4, right?
Yeah, it is. Titanfall 2.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. It's on...
Which one's not? I get them all mixed up.
No, Call of Duty, Titanfall, and Battlefield 1, they're all on... Because they're third party. They're both for Xbox One and PS4.
Now, the first Titanfall was Xbox One only, though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's where I got my eggs scrambled. Not bad. But... As you are saying, indies are capable of being so flexible, being so risk-taking, and they attract people who have a real passion for what they're doing, just as you guys have a passion for what you're doing. It's all these people who grew up on video games as their true medium of choice, as opposed to a lot of AAA developers. They end up either going indie, or it turns out that they were in it more because they were trying to do something like a movie or like a book. They're seeking this respectability that
the medium that they grew up with.
Right. But these indie developers, a lot of them didn't even grow up on Nintendo or Sega or whatever. They grew up on other indie developers at this point, like that Zach Bell guy I was telling you about. He grew up on Edmund Macmillan games, and is like, how can I take Edmund Macmillan stuff to the next level, not even considering any mainstream appeal, and as such, he's making stuff that you can't get anywhere else. It's really fun to see it happen. I just hope it keeps getting bigger. I hope we don't have some sort of crash.
Because indie games used to be flash games on the PC. Like me and Larry, we talked about Alien Hominid, and
right.
And how that kind of, to me personally, that was like the first indie game to get a major or a second publisher, because I think it wasn't Majesco, it was someone else, but it was whoever was able to put that on a physical copy and release that on the GameCube, and I think PS2. But I have the GameCube version. Like, this game was a flash game that nobody really knew of, or some people knew of. Now it's on a console. Like,
and Newgrounds was such a breeding ground for that kind of thing at the time too.
Yeah. We actually, I hate to keep referencing Nintendo Force, but it just comes up a lot. We interviewed.
But you can run the show. It's,
Holmes, you have to, Holmes. Our tagline is we're a train wreck of professionalism. You know, we Amtrak at Adulting. And wherever the show goes, it goes. If you want to run the show, it's all in your hands. It's a trust.
Too kind.
You're talking about some of the indies that you've been talking with at Nintendo Force, and it makes me so sad that our Canadian correspondent, the Minister of Maple, Adrian, couldn't be here, because he's actually got his own small company, Frozen Machine, that just put out their first game earlier this year as well.
Oh, really?
Cool. Yeah, sadly he couldn't be here. He's been ousted from power and exiled from his country. He's now on the lam. So,
son of a gun, Canada turning on him. He must have done something really bad.
He's a
Canada's pretty gentle country.
He's a caramel.
He started taxing the maple syrup.
So we were talking with Edmund McMillan for Nintendo Force a while ago. It's one of my favorite interviews I ever did. Edmund doesn't like to type, so we did it over Skype, and I had to transcribe that sucker, and it was like 2,000 words, and I had a lot of little ums and ahs I had to cut out. So that was tough, but it was all worth it because it was such a great interview, and he talked about how he was making games on Newgrounds just for fun and ended up making thousands of dollars there, and how if it weren't for Alien Hominid, he would have never gotten to where he is now with Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy and whatnot. So he loved PC games. He loved NES games, but it was other developers like the Behemoth who made Alien Hominid who really showed him he could take it to the next level, and found inspiration from people that truly loved it and were never in it for the money. And I do worry about that getting lost eventually, because so many indie developers, like you were saying before, they could be the next AAA, and that's got pros and cons to it. They could be the next AAA in terms of quality, but they also could be the next AAA in terms of its people who are just trying to cash in. And they have seen Notch become a millionaire, and I'm pretty sure Edmund's a millionaire at this point. There's many millionaire indie developers, and people are seeing it as a way to get rich and famous as opposed to doing something that they just love now. So,
and I think that's why Yacht Club get the respect of a lot of gamers. I mean, first of all, people got to realize that these guys came from Wayford Studios, which I think they're the Konami to me. Like, I love them as a company. I always loved Konami growing up as for the NES, the Super Nintendo, like back in the day. Not to what they are now, but when I found out that these guys came from WayForward, I was just like, every product that they drop out is going to be top notch, because WayForward is always presented to me a Nintendo style kind of game, a Nintendo S, I should say. And with just Shovel Knight alone, getting so many Game of the Year awards, and the people are still buying the game now to this day, physical and digital. It's just like, these guys are kind of like the top AAA of indie, but they still feel indie, because they still like, you know what, we still going to give you guys free content. You bought the game once, and we're going to support it. Like, they don't even talk about we're looking for money or anything like that, because they struggled to make Shovel Knight.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I know Sean Velasco, and let's see, he started Yacht Club with a woman named Erin. She was like their only artist, and a guy named Waz, who was their animator, and I can't remember who was doing programming at first, but that was a very big risk they took. They had a good thing going at WayForward. They all liked working at WayForward. But they had this urge to see what they could do if they had absolutely no limitations on them. WayForward is a wonderful company, and they give a lot of creative freedom to their game directors, but they work for hire a lot of the time. Konami was hiring them to make games like Contra 4, and I think they were working on the Silent Hill. Say that again?
Which is fucking spectacular.
Oh, yeah, I know. Contra 4 turned out very, very good. And Sean Velasco, if I'm...
WayForward came out and basically stole the greatness that Konami once had. I think the moment WayForward, hit the market, that's the moment that Konami turned to shit, and Sterling had a field day with it.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, Konami had Tom Hewlett, who gets a lot of crap, but he's a great guy. He's a very passionate, well-meaning guy, and a very creative guy when it comes to what he can think of for games. Too creative for some Silent Hill fans, because he took a lot of liberties with that series that people were like offended by personally. But he did it because he loves it. He loves that series, and it was he, if I remember correctly, who worked with WayForward to spearhead the whole Contra 4 project, and Sean Velasco, who's now at Yacht Club, was one of the directors on Contra 4, and now Tom is over at WayForward because he liked what they were doing a little bit more than what Konami's doing these days. So I don't even know who Konami has as a creative force at their company anymore. It's just kind of bottomed down.
They don't have anybody.
Yeah,
Pachinko.
and I feel like if Konami wants to become relevant again, even after the Kojima stuff, they have to side with Nintendo. They have to get Nintendo involved with them, and they have to bring that old school 80s run a gun, beat 'em ups, stuff that was in the arcade that never came to console because it was too weird or fantastic. Like, I want to see a Metamorphic Force. I want to see that on the Switch because it never came to console. Go back straight now. That's how old school I am. If you don't know how deep I love my video games, like I can tell you right now, Nintendo. My brother had the Sega, but I was Nintendo, Sega, TurboGrafx, Sony, Xbox. Like, I had it all. That's how big a video game. But like Metamorphic Force 2, like, I want to see Konami bring that out and have Nintendo work with them. Bring that old school Konami that made Konami, not the Metal Gear stuff. Because I don't think Metal Gear Silent Hill made Konami. It was all their past work that made them known for what they are. And if you want to become relevant again, bam, get with Nintendo. So that we can get a creepy Silent Hill. Heck, you got Tech. I'm like, you guys already got percentage of Tecmo with the Black Maiden, the photo horror one.
Oh, right. Fatal Frame.
Fatal Frame. Bam. Bring the Switch, bring Silent Hill to the Switch and do something straight insane. You already got a portable game on the go. Heck, do it. Make something so weird that when you're on the go, the game realizes that you're somewhere, and a beautiful house that you see, if you do the switch on it with the camera, it turns into a horror house and you can explore it. Like, I would love to see them to do something weird and crazy like that.
Sadly, Larry and Ed, I think that would be like, I'm trying to do analogies, but again, I just woke up from this nap. I took my kid to this big baby party, and we had to watch the babies like nonstop. I was saying before that babies are easier when they get a little older because they can keep themselves out of trouble. But when you get like 7 of them together, the amount of trouble they can get in with just like baby fist fights, babies hitting each other on the head with pans and whatnot. It was a lot of mental exertion to keep the babies from pulling each other's hair out and whatnot. So I'm a little drained, but I can do this. So Ed,
I don't put a lot of mental effort into this show myself.
I was about to say Super.
This is just whatever happens to fall out.
You guys are nailing it.
I was about to say Super Smash Babies. You playing Super Smash Babies.
That's what it is like.
That's a mod that needs to happen right now.
But Eddie, you're
the Rugrats and shit.
Eddie, your passion for Konami and what Konami was in this industry is far beyond anything that Konami has for themselves. They have a complete lack of passion for their own own intellectual properties and their own potential at this point. So for you to come to them and be like, make a Silent Hill on the Switch that's like a haunted house, I guess that would be like going to I can do this. All right, analogy time. I can do this. That would be like going to a cow who's eating grass and totally content with it and being like, you don't have to eat grass. You could become an astronaut. This is the worst analogy ever.
No, I'm entirely digging it, actually.
It's like
terrible.
It's like taking a cow who eats grass a lot to a weed farm and have him eat that.
That's too kind, Eddie. It's a very good analogy. Too kind. Konami are thinking about making creative video games as hard as a cow is thinking about becoming an astronaut. This is still the worst analogy, though.
It works.
Wow.
It works for the show. Don't worry.
It's hitting me hard how bad it is. They just don't care is my long-winded point. And I've talked to these folks who are in the video game industry but never cared about video games. They were, before that, they worked in like fast food, or they worked for sneaker companies or something. They're into marketing, and they're into market analysis in order to figure out where the money is, and they're not into creativity at all. And when you say to them, like, wouldn't it be cool if you make this kind of game? They look at you with this dead-eyed stare, almost like they are ready to harm you. Like there's this insidious anger they have at creative people underneath it all that's caused me to give up. Hopefully I'm not cynical and burnt out, but at events like E3, I've talked to just way too many suits who I'm just standing next to them and we're watching a game being played, and I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you like made a new Guardian Heroes or something? And they just look at me like I'm a complete waste of space, and they want to see me gone so they can go back to making money. It's very, very sad, the upper echelons of the AAA video game world. It's not often that anyone gets there if what they love is creating. Because if you love creating, you want to be in the trenches developing and programming and designing and doing art. Once you get to the top and you're making all the money, the only people who get there are the people who are willing to step on other people to get there, and that's not the artists.
And I think that happens in the industry where when you see a big name leaving a company to start their own, because they want to make original content. They want to make something that the business suits cannot touch.
Well, Kojima's a perfect example of that. He was burnt out on the corporate culture at Konami forever, and he was doing things to like piss them off intentionally, so I'm told. But because he was Kojima, he could get away with it. But eventually, he went too far, and they had just too many instances of bad blood, and it was over for him in the company. And now he's more beloved than ever, arguably. He's got his old fans, and he's making new fans all the time because Norman Reedus is talking about him all the time, and Guillermo del Toro, a huge movie director, is talking about it all the time. So he's at his height, while Konami is not. And I'm hoping that I guess I'm not cynical, because I still have this weird optimism that the big business people in video game, the AAA people, will see, wow,
shit together,
you can't treat your talent like garbage the way Konami did to Kojima, or else it'll come back to bite you in the ass one of these days. But I just don't think they'll ever learn. Trying to explain to someone who only cares about money the value of creativity, it's like trying to explain red to a colorblind person. It just doesn't happen. That analogy wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
that was like a
fantastic
C+, maybe.
Well,
which is much better than my cow and astronauts one.
If it's a C+ for you, trust me, that rate's way higher on our scale.
Oh no, you guys!
The standard's fucking low.
Oh,
here.
And Larry, I meant to say to you, you were in such good company about your love of Zelda 2, because Sean Velasco absolutely loves Zelda 2, which is why Shovel Knight is the way it is.
Why do people love Zelda 2? I cannot.
They do.
I cannot fathom that. Zelda 2 is bad. They need to remake it. They need to turn it into a Super Metroid style game.
That would be cool.
I've literally tried my best as a kid playing The Legend of Zelda 2. I found it in the white bin at some unknown furniture store that me and my mom never knew of. We looked and it was available. She bought it, and I played the game. And if I warp every 5 seconds again, I'm going to scream in that game.
The random battles are brutal in that game, and they're so potentially repetitive. But
it's avoidable.
True. And I say the same thing about the more recent Paper Marios, which a lot of people hate, and I understand why they hate them. Oh, do you like the more recent ones?
Yes,
do you like Color Splash?
I have a Sticker Star and I have a Color Splash. Like these are I told people anytime a lot of Nintendo games drop, it's a day one purchase. I have been waiting for a new Paper Mario. And when I seen the Color Splash, I'm like, I went bunkers on the when I seen it. And then when it came into my job, because I sell these games, day one, I don't care what anybody said, I bought it. And it's literally kind of, Paper Mario actually kind of selling more than Titanfall 2 or any other third big name. Like Final Fantasy in my area hasn't even been touched. Paper Mario is yes, Paper Mario Color Splash is disappearing out the door than Final Fantasy 15 is. Like no one's in my area has even bought Final Fantasy 15. I'm the only one that brought that and The Last Guardian. Heck, and Dead Rising 4.
Yeah, like we were saying, AAA is people are burnt out. They don't need to follow the crowd anymore and buy the big marketed game that everyone else is buying because they've got 20 games on their phone, they've got free games on PlayStation Plus, they've got games on Steam for cheap. The amount of games out there has dwarfed the need for these big marketed games that people play in order to be a part of what everyone else is doing. Because there's so many little subcultures for games now. It's great. Yeah. But anyway, I was going to say that I was shocked that you, Eddie, like the new Paper Mario because so many people really.
Yes.
And did you grow up on the N64 one and the GameCube one?
Yes, I
did. And
you
know that particularly the GameCube one had so many unique characters, so many unique character designs. It brought the world of Mario to life in a way people had never seen before. It was truly made by fans of Mario who were thinking, what if it was real? What if the Mario Kingdom, what if the Mushroom Kingdom was a real place with real people who you could get to know? And of course, not every Toad and not every Goomba is going to be just a clone of the other one. There's going to be unique personalities, and they're going to be boys and girls, and some of them are going to have a little hat on and whatnot. And that's what Paper Mario was for so many people. It was what a Mario fan's imagination, like the greatest Mario fan fiction you could think of at the time. What if a truly imaginative Mario fan got to just blow out the world and fill in all the details of what it was actually like to be in the Mushroom Kingdom? And the more recent Paper Mario games don't do that anymore. They play it much more safe with just your basic Toads and your basic Shy Guys and whatnot. I still like them a lot, but
that's completely fine. But it's always been about the writing. It's always been about the great gameplay. Like I literally bust out laughing because there's just so many inside jokes that people don't get and don't realize. But I read it and be like, whoever localized this or whoever wrote this is a genius, and I crack up laughing. And when a video game can do that to me as an adult, and it makes me feel like a kid again. The Paper Mario series always does that. Like,
that's great. So for you, just being there and being in the world, reading the dialogue, ingesting what the writers came up with is enough. It sounds like, in general, Eddie, you're the kind of guy who's able to enjoy something for what it is and not hold it up to some standard that if it doesn't meet that particular standard, sometimes an impossible standard when you grew up with a game, you can't help but expect it to make you feel the way you felt when you were 10 years old, even though now you're 30. Sounds like you're able to just find the worth in a game for what it is instead of judging against what it could have been.
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, I want to be extremely respectful of your time. I know you said you only had about an hour, and there was two things I wanted to touch on before we part ways. We have the nominees for our Game of the Year awards for World 1-1, all up for the prestigious Golden Warp Pipe Award for Game of the Year. The nominees are Titanfall 2, Xenoblade Chronicles X, the Ukulele Demo, and AM2R, and we're going to be posting up the the poll on the Facebook page, and I'll shoot it out on Twitter as well, and we'll keep that up for the next couple of weeks till the last show of the year when we announce the winners. And then we've also got the nominees up for the far less prestigious Rusty Wrench Award for most missed opportunity of 2016, including Uncharted 4, Recore, and Mighty Number 9. So wanted to get that out there for anybody listening. Hit up the Facebook page, hit up the Twitter. The polls will be up there for the next couple of weeks, and then last show of the year we will be announcing the winners of the prestigious Golden Warp Pipe Award and the far less prestigious Rusty Wrench Award. So that way, whoever wins that one can have something to fix their shit with for next game.
Having talked to the developers of AM2R, also talked with one of their sprite artists, Steve, I know if they win anything, they were so crestfallen. They were so hurt to have their game taken out of the running for the recent Video Game Awards with Jeff Kiley. They were so sad.
On the show for a couple of weeks.
I bet it has been.
And they didn't even show that portion on the Game Awards.
No, to my knowledge, they just dropped the category altogether.
Because there was only 2 games left, I think. It was Doom and I can't remember what the other one was. It was clearly going to go to Doom, so they just... Yeah, that was sad. Nintendo, jeez. I've talked with Dan Edelman, who worked at Nintendo for years and years. I don't know if you know who Dan is. He was like their head indie liaison for a while.
Yeah.
And I can't repeat too many of the stories he's told me. He loves so many of the individuals at Nintendo, but the culture there, from what I've heard from him, just finds a way to make the wrong decision. Even when really good people are there trying to make the right decision, somehow the way they all come together, they just end up shooting themselves in the foot so badly and looking so bad to their fans time and time again.
I've been a proponent, like I said, I've said for months now since it came out that, the smartest thing that they could do would be to pick up Milton and his crew and get the rights for AM2R, publish it on the 3DS or publish it on the Wii U, or at this point, put it out on the bloody Switch, polish it up, get it running in absolute, 1080 high res, and, get the rights for that, get a different crew working on just tweaking it and getting it running, and then take Milton and his crew and set them off doing Metroid Dread.
Sure. Oh, wow. Metroid Dread. That's a nice callback. Which eventually became Metroid Fusion? Or was Dread after Fusion?
Dread was supposed to take place after Fusion. It was the one game on that E3 list from years ago that never materialized. Every other game on that leaked list eventually came out.
Yeah, I wonder what happened with that. So many Metroid prototypes have come and gone. I've heard about. I know that Next Level was working on one at some point. That got dropped, and then they land on Federation Force. I mean, it's not a bad game to play. I think the engine is good. I think the combat system is good. Just not what anybody wanted in a Metroid game.
Yeah.
Say that again?
The timing was wrong.
Oh, yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. And I agree 100% with what you're saying about getting Milton and his crew on board for an official Metroid game. Sega did it with Sonic Mania. That's being...
Well, Sega need all the help they could get for their games.
Yeah, Sega's another story. But they're at least trying to turn it around, unlike Konami, which is just sticking to their guns. Sega sees that what they did wasn't working and are at least trying to embrace their community in ways that are going to resonate with them. So I hope for Sega. I hope for the best for them. A lot of good
Give me
people
Vanquish
there.
2, Sega. Stop pussyfooting around. Give me Vanquish 2.
I want to know what Eddie's favorite TurboGrafx 16 games are.
Oh, do you want to list?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Eddie?
My goodness. All the Buck games, Buck 1, Buck 2, Keith Courage and Alpha Zone, Bishop 1 and Part 2.
You are a forgiving man, Eddie.
Yes.
To forgive Keith Courage for what it did to us. I mean, I love the music. I love the concept. I love that revolver-headed guy with the sunglasses. But actually play Keith Courage it takes a lot of courage.
Oh, I've beaten that game so many times. And
what?
Yes.
How can you even play it without just getting sad?
Because it's called having that rapid fire button in the controller. And
that's true. It does have a built-in turbo button.
Yes.
Turbo graphics.
Like, I love Keep Courage in the Alpha Zone. And I don't care what a lot of people say. I love that game. I love you, Holmes. Don't worry about it.
And Keith Courage has a very special place in my heart as well. Yeah. But to actually play it hurts me a little bit these days.
I mean, because it looks weird. Okay, I can understand when you're Keith Courage and you're hitting enemies with that little white stick. And it's just like, is this supposed to be a sword? Like, what kind of graphics?
Well, if you remember, the design philosophy of Keith Courage was like, let's make you terrible for this town where you just walk right and like rocks fall from the sky and you have to hit one sometimes. And then it gets really exciting and it's almost as good as a normal game when you actually get in the armor, but it's still kind of not that good. Yeah. You don't get any real power-ups. You just have a laser sword and can walk faster. So that's when you're like a true hero, when you're almost half as good as Mario in the armor sequences. Keith Courage.
Ninja Spirit, Vigilante.
Very good.
Splatterhouse. It was the one that had a little axe, and I cannot think of it.
Legendary Axe 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah. I love both of those games a lot.
I didn't play the Bruce Lee one where he took up half of the screen.
Oh, China Warrior?
Oh, that game is horrid.
Well, you're huge, and so many things can hit you. Yeah, you're constantly like the opposite of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee seemed like he was impossible to hit because the philosophy as martial art was be like water, so you can fit into any situation without ever running into a conflict you can't deal with. China Warrior was just be a giant wall that gets hit by bats and just punched by a lady you shouldn't be able to get beat up that easily by a lady, but you do. And yet, I still love China Warrior. It holds a very special place in my heart as well.
Devil's Crush.
Oh, yeah.
I love Devil's Crush.
Yeah. I didn't know this, but there was a sequel. Oh, Blazing Blaze. Yeah, Blazing Blaze.
See, I never got to try that one, and I wanted to.
What?
Yeah,
you go fucking download it.
Oh, I need to.
It's on Virtual Console on the Wii. Get going.
It is. Absolutely. It's more than worth. The music is great. The action is fast. The weapon system is incredibly varied.
That was brilliant for any kind of ship shooter at the time.
Sure.
That was just spectacular.
Bosses are good. Bosses are weird. I think you fight a naked lady at the end who's just in a bubble. She's just spending time there, and you've got to shoot her with lasers.
God, speaking of weird ones, R-Type Final for the PS2, that last stage.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I remember I was working at a video game store. I was working at a Game Crazy when that came out. And my boss and I both picked it up and took it home the same day. And I remember coming in the next day. I'm like, did you finish it? It's like, yeah, did you? Uh-huh. It just nobody talks about it.
Okay, I need to buy that game.
Going to look and nobody says a word about it.
If I remember correctly, Larry, that one had branching paths, so you might not get to the true last level the first time.
That last stage in R-Type Final,
the really last stage,
was silhouettes of two people fucking.
That's right, Larry. You called a spade a spade.
Oh my goodness! I need to find this. I need to find this game, and I need to play it like a right to meow.
Yeah, R-Type is a very special series when it comes to sexual innuendo. Like they were heavily influenced by the work of H.R. Geiger, who on the Alien movies, he was like, "Can I just make a penis-headed monster? Can I get away with that?" And he did. And they're making a new one like this year. Dickhead Alien.
What about Parodius?
Oh, Parodius for sure too. All the Konami shooters were fantastic, but I got a tangent about R-Type a little bit longer because I have a little bit longer to talk. I never get to talk about video games.
Go.
Just a dad full time and working. So yeah, R-Type influenced by H.R. Geiger from the very start. They were like, "Can we slip a dick in this game? Can we put a vagina in this game?" The second boss, the boss of level 2 of R-Type, is just a dick going in a vagina and then coming out. And you can shoot the dick, and it dies. The dick dies.
My wife is over here on the couch dying, laughing silently.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, God, yes. She was determined to come down here. She's had the kid on her tit the whole time to keep the kid quiet. So She's
I think my kid's probably off
cracking up over here.
But with R-Type Final, Larry, you nailed it right on the head. They gave up on Metaphor, and they knew it was the last R-Type, so they're like, yeah, we're going to admit it. It's a game about fucking, guys. Yep. There's dicks going in our games.
Here we go.
I need to go to GameStop.
It inspired me to swear, too. Yeah,
I need to go to GameStop or go to Amazon, and I need to order this right now.
There's also a ship in R-Type Final called like the Love Muscle or something. That's like a penis with a heart at the head, and it shoots little hearts. Like they went all out with
it was
talking
beautiful.
About sex.
It was
salt and pepper style. Yeah,
he said salt and pepper style.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Oh wow! I love this. I didn't play the Castlevania one because I didn't have. Yeah, I didn't have
Not too late.
Yeah.
That's also on the Virtual Console. If you're talking about Rondo of Blood.
Yes.
Very important game.
R-Type, by the way, is actually running pretty cheap on Amazon. You can find used copies for about $7.25.
Oh.
No way. R-Type Final?
I'm staring at it right meow.
That is a really good game. It, like I was saying before, it has branching paths, so even if you play through it once, you've probably only seen maybe a third of the levels, maybe a little bit less. And it's got like really weird aspects with it to make the branches path. So there's a lot to discover. I think it has like 100 ships in it. Definitely worth playing.
Yes. That was part of the cover, was just the row of ships.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sad that series is gone, but at least they ended on a good note. Well, I think that, speaking of ending on a good note, I may have to wrap it up, fellas.
I have to hold you for just a minute.
Sure.
My wife will kill me if I do not bring this up and ask you this.
Yeah?
Jonathan Holmes, is it pedophilia or not if I can only masturbate to a carton of unhatched chicken fetuses?
I haven't gotten a question like that in a while, Larry, and I appreciate you asking it. Is it? I would have to say that is a deeper fetish than most I've heard, and I've heard a lot of them. Unhatched chicken fetuses?
Well, it's just a fun way of saying carton of eggs, because that's eggs, unhatched chicken fetuses.
So masturbating. I don't know what the name of the philia is for wanting. I don't even know if you want to have sex with the eggs, or whether just the idea of eggs is enough to make you feel fantastic. So I'm going to say no. The definitive on that.
All right, I'm in the clear.
Not going to jail today, Larry.
Grocery store, here I come.
And everybody, that's how World 1-1 does this podcast.
Kill it, guys.
First, Jonathan, please plug your stuff.
Oh, yeah. Nintendo Force has a new issue coming out in December. I don't know when the show will be out. You may miss it. You have to buy it before.
This show will be up like tomorrow night.
Oh, cool. So if you are interested.
Less than 24 hours to edit and post.
Awesome, because I know before we were recording, and I think we got cut off in the middle of me rambling about third parties and Nintendo, so hopefully that won't be too painful of an edit. Feel free to cut out everything I said if you need to.
I know exactly what I'm doing for that edit, trust me.
Oh, you're so smart, Larry. So, yes, this show should be out before the 16th, and if so, you could get the next Nintendo Force. If you like Nintendo games, I think it's quite worth your while. It's got a double-sided Zelda Breath of the Wild poster that comes for free. Everybody buys it. What did I do for this issue?
Posters from Nintendo Power.
I know every single issue comes with a poster, and the Mario Kart poster we did a while ago was like wall sized. It was gigantic. I think it was a Kickstarter bonus or something. I'm trying to remember what I did for this issue. We have a exclusive reveal. I don't know if you guys like the Bitrip series, but we have an exclusive.
Oh, you have no idea. This is. I was holding on to this until I had more concrete information, but I'm talking with Choice Provisions, formerly Gaijin Games, about having them drop in on the show as well.
Oh, cool! Yeah, are you talking with Dant? Or are you talking with Mike?
I have to double check. I want to say it was Dan.
Dant Rambo. He's a hell of a guy.
I've got to get back through my emails and find out exactly who, but.
Sure, they've got a lot of people at the company now.
With them.
Yeah,
But
Holmes,
yeah, that's something that we're trying to work on.
Oh,
Holmes,
that's fun.
I read your story on Destructoid today
Oh,
about
right,
that,
right.
and I was
Yes.
just like, really? I'm like, why did I not know this? Like, I love the bitch. Oh goodness, I'm so giddy right now. I love the Bitrix series.
Me too. They were some of my favorites on WiiWare and everything that followed. So we have an exclusive reveal of a Runner 3 character in the next issue of Nintendo Force. I know I reviewed something. I reviewed Faerun 2 on the 3DS, which is an okay game. I kind of liked it.
Oh.
And we interviewed Game Explain, I think. There's a lot of stuff in there. Oh, and we also listed all of the Wii U games we hope get a second life on Switch. So there's a big Wii U retrospective in there. So even though it's kind of a slow time for Nintendo games in terms of new releases, last one was focused on
hopes and dreams to talk about.
Yeah. To come together as a fandom and talk about the things we're hoping for the next year is always fun, and that's what this next issue is about. So you would still have time to get that. What else am I doing? Destructoid is still right there. Not as much. More like once a week, as opposed to when I was editor-in-chief, it was like all the time. And that was fun, but it was a lot of work. So I've taken a backseat on that, but still writing there. And voice acting. I did voice acting for a game called Read Only Memories, but I'm not sure if it's even out yet. Oh, it's hard for me to remember all the stuff I did. Yeah, to all sorts of things. I've been very lucky to get to do them. Profound Waste of Time. That was the other one I should definitely plug. That's still on Kickstarter. We've already made our funding, but we're announcing new people all the time. Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale, is writing for it now.
Nice.
Mike Z, a huge Metroid fan. Mike Z, who did the game design, the actual fighting engine, the fighting techniques for Skullgirls, and now is working on Invisible, new game from Lab Zeros. He's going to write for the zine now. Again, it's called Profound Waste of Time. You can find it on Kickstarter. It's going to be a lot of fun, and that would be probably the main thing people should check out that I'm working on now. If they only check out one thing.
And where can we follow you on Twitter?
Well, Jonathan, if you would be so kind too, after the show, if you get an opportunity, throw some links together and drop them on the Facebook page for the show. That way, anyone has easy access to reach out to any of it.
Sure, I will ask my wife. I'm off Facebook because so many people just talked about wanting to stroke me and whatnot because
Wait,
Jim Sterling.
What?
Yeah.
I talked a lot about Jim Sterling on this show because I do love him. And the downside of loving Jim Sterling is then people who want to be Jim Sterling talk about how they want to love you. There was years where I'd go on Twitter and just be like, wonder what's in my timeline today. It would just be like, how's your anus, Jonathan? Just strangers talking about my butthole. So yeah. Oh yeah. Jim Sterling.
Eddie, I think you've missed that whole section of Pod Toy. There was a whole lot of Sterling on Holmes love.
Yeah, and it was, yeah, he did that. Yeah. And I would
followed you on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'm at Tron Knots on Twitter. At Tron like the movie, then KNOTTS like Don Knotts from Andy Griffith's show. Put them together. At Tron Knots. Oh, my son showed up.
Oh.
Hi, Ryan.
Little
He's a
Holmes.
baby. And on that note, fellas, I better go. I just press the red button and then I go.
You got it.
You got it.
You will be
Thank
missed.
you, John.
Holmes,
Larry
thank
and
you
Eddie.
so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. We hope at some point you'd be willing to come back with us.
I'd
Yes.
love to. I'll do a better job next time, I promise.
Oh, you were phenomenal. Don't ever think it's hurt.
Exactly.
You
Thanks, Larry.
hate devil you.
Thanks, Eddie. Feelings mutual. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Eddie, plug your shit. Let's close this up.
I'm so giddy right now. You don't know. Ah! Everybody, you can follow me on Twitter at that retro code. I also do a podcast called Optional Opinion, which you can find on the Anomalous Radio Network.podbean.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play. I also write for IGN.com under Anime, ENIME. That's where I post my Optional Opinion blogs. Well, I don't write for IGN. My stuff is on IGN, I should say. Skirmish Frogs, I got a series called The Moment, so you guys can check that out. What else? I'm on Teen Nerd and Digital Nerds Advocate. doing podcasts with them and writing also for them. Great guys. I love just being an honor, and I love podcasting with my very own Larry Giver. And whenever Adrian comes on,
the rare occasion that we get Tony as well,
and my god niece baby Olivia has shown. Ooh. But yeah, you guys could check me out there. You could check out DNA on YouTube, cause we're going to be having some new content go up there soon. But yeah, you can follow, you can email the show at aworld11podcast@gmail.com. And we have a Twitter, which Sir Larry will talk about.
We are now out there on the, in the Twitterverse, World11 podcast at World1_1 podcast. Also, as always, hit up our Facebook page. I know I've talked it up. I'm going to keep talking it up for the next couple of weeks. You know, we're looking to do some expansion over the next year in 2017. We need your love and support to make it happen. We are trying to grow the audience, so we would greatly appreciate it if you share out the show to your friends. If you happen to like listening to us and you want to share something awesome with them. If you actually hate our show, just share it with people that you can't fucking stand and force it upon them.
Yes.
And make them suffer through it. You know, dealer's choice at that point. We are, of course, you can find the latest episodes the fastest up on archive.org. Links to that, of course, on the Facebook page and are now being reshared out on Twitter every week when the new episode goes up. And, of course, too, working on the tail end of bits and pieces on getting the YouTube channel up. At the moment, the YouTube channel going to be just, you know, another avenue to get a hold of the audio-only podcast. Potentially, if things go the right direction, we may be exploring into doing a video, an actual, full-blown video edition of the podcast for the YouTube channel, depending on how that runs. But, again, keep your eyes and ears peeled. That should be coming hopefully in the next few weeks. And with any luck in the next few weeks, we'll be able to get the iTunes issue straightened out. So that way the show will be running on its own stream onto iTunes as well. It's going to take a little finagling. But, again, the person that probably has the greatest handle on that right now on the lam is the Minister of Maple, Adrian Nieto himself, having currently been ousted from power and exiled from his own country. Holy shit, that's a lot of talking. I got to stop to breathe now.
The caramel connects again. And with that, everybody, thank you for joining us once again. Jonathan Holmes, if you listen to this episode, thank you for being on the show. We truly appreciate it. Truly, we're just honored to have you on the show and to nerd out with you and stuff. Your analogies were spot on, I should say.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jonathan Holmes. It's been a wonderful pleasure having you on. Again, I know you've dropped off, but you'll hear this. Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, good night!
Night, everybody.